Today on the newscast, are the mass protests in Israel emboldening Iran and Hezbollah? Find out next. Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast and welcome to New York City. I'm in TBN's New York studio filming an upcoming special called What is the Great Reset? To hear that question answered, tune in April 18th on TBN. Needless to say, folks, the Great Reset is a sinister agenda that affects all of us no matter where we live. You will want to see this April 18th on TBN. In the meantime, a reset of sorts in Israel yesterday as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called for a temporary freeze to the judicial overhaul that his government had been pursuing over the past several weeks. As we've documented here in the newscast, obviously, there have been mass demonstrations in Israel. And folks, at the end of the day, a house divided against itself cannot stand when enemies are gathering at the gates, quite literally in the form of Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, and others. We're going to break down what they're saying and the moves they're making as they're observing all this chaos in Israel. But up first, if you have not subscribed to the Watchman News channel right here on YouTube, give us a subscribe, click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. With so much going on in Israel, the Middle East, and around the world, we would love to have you here with us for such a time as this, shoulder to shoulder, as watchmen and women on the wall. And we are all watching events unfolding in Israel. Folks, the only way I can describe this is a very dangerous moment for Israel. Now, what are Israel's enemies saying? Let's start with the Iranian regime, Israel's foremost enemy in the world. In Iranian state-run media, they've been gloating about the protest in Israel over the past few weeks. They've been saying that this is another sign that the Jewish state is about to meet its demise. And Iran is watching, and they're watching the people of Israel tear themselves apart in a sense, completely divided, as I said, and they're at the gates, and they're preparing, and they're probing, and they're waiting for the right moment. They see weakness in Israeli society, which to their mind makes Israel more vulnerable to attack. And Israeli officials have said over the past few weeks, look, we need to get our act together here because this is jeopardizing our national security. Not only the massive demonstrations over the past few weeks, but 5 elections in Israel in the span of 4 years gives off the feeling or the veneer of instability to Israel's enemies, and they will look to take advantage. Now, Iran hasn't probed in a serious way over the past few weeks inside Israel. Hezbollah has, more on that in a moment, but Iran certainly, and we reported on this last Friday here on the newscast, was probing and then some when an Iranian drone attacked a U.S. base in Syria, killing 1 U.S. citizen, a contractor, and wounding 6 U.S. soldiers. Now, that was just last week. And folks, in the same vein, Iran sees division and instability in the United States as well. Again, a house divided against itself cannot stand, whether it's the United States, whether it's Israel, and the enemies of America and Israel are taking notes. They are salivating, and they're watching all of this very closely. And of course, Hezbollah, Iran's most lethal proxy, as we reported here in the newscast as well, planting a bomb in northern Israel 2 weeks ago that thankfully did not cause mass carnage. That was the intention of Hezbollah, certainly, to cause mass chaos and mass carnage. Thankfully, that did not happen. But certainly, Hezbollah, again, testing the waters, thinking, look, Israel is distracted right now by internal debate and internal division. Perhaps this is the right time to strike. Bibi says he will likely pick up the judicial overhaul agenda down the line, but he said it yesterday, folks, and I quote, "We want to avoid a civil war." That's how serious the situation was becoming in Israel. And again, Israel's enemies are watching and probing and looking for opportunities to take advantage. And that's not even mentioning Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza, who could when they choose to set off rockets at any moment. We have Ramadan about to be upon us, the Muslim holy month, where sadly, many times terror attacks increase in Israel during that month. We have Russia and Syria to the north as well coming closer. So this is no time for the world's one and only Jewish state to be plagued by internal problems, but that is what we have right now. As a supporter of Israel living in the United States, it's been troubling to watch this all unfold. So we're praying that Israel can get this all back together and get on the same page. You know it's bad when reservists in the Israeli military are refusing to report for duty. Folks, that's unprecedented, and that sends the exact wrong message to Israel's enemies. Prime Minister Netanyahu, to my mind, is one of the great leaders in the world and in Israel's history. You would think that he'll find a way forward here, but folks, it will not be easy because Israel is a very divided society right now. In terms of external enemies, we just broke that down, but there are also internal enemies in Israel. We've seen this terror wave in Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria over the past few weeks. I spoke about this on yesterday's newscast with our good friend Alex Trayman, CEO and Jerusalem Bureau Chief of JNS.org, a great site I encourage you to check out. But Alex talked about that terror wave and how Israel's enemies are even closer to home. Take a look. Look, Israel's external enemies, whether it's Iran and Hezbollah and Hamas, they're watching this. And they're kind of salivating, seeing all this internal unrest in Israel. What's your take there? I mean, are you concerned that external actors and enemies could try to take advantage here?
Well, it's not just external enemies. We have internal enemies as well. You know, we just started the Muslim holy month of Ramadan here, which has been traditionally a tense month. I mean, I saw a headline in the Jerusalem Post that noted that the first mass prayer that took place on the Temple Mount was peaceful. And it's interesting that the headline, you know, there's only one religion in the world where the reporter would have to stress that the mass prayer session was peaceful. So, you know, we've had 3 shootings in Samaria in the last 3 weeks in a town called Huwara. And so you have an ongoing situation where the terror threat from factions inside the Palestinian territories like Hamas and Fatah, you know, are certainly increasing, and the Iran threat is as potent as ever. And there is a sense in the Israeli security establishment that we're coming to a now or never moment with regard to preventing Iran from crossing the nuclear threshold. And Netanyahu has actually traveled in the last month. He's been to France, he's been to Germany, he's been to Italy, and he's been to the UK. And that's all with this judicial reform mess brewing inside the country. And those meetings have only to do with one subject, which is Iran. And so when Yoav Gallant, who was the defense minister, came out in his speech and said that the judicial reform weakens Israel's defense capabilities, he sent a terrible message to Israel's enemies. We had the president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, say that the last 2 times there was a Jewish commonwealth in the state of Israel, that it didn't make it till its 80th year, and that he was afraid as Israel comes into its 75th birthday, as you mentioned on the Independence Day later in next month, that Israel might not make it to its 80th birthday. And just 2 days after he made that statement in his speech, Hassan Nasrallah, the bureau chief of Hezbollah, quoted the Israeli president saying, even Israel's president says that Israel might not exist in 5 years. And so this is definitely encouraging Israel's enemies to step up their fight against the Jewish state.
Great insights there from Alex Trayman. Folks, if you want to watch my entire interview with him, again, that was on yesterday's newscast. And you might be wondering, what's this judicial reform thing all about? Why are Israelis protesting? What is the big difference in opinion here? I encourage you to check out my interview with Alex. He breaks it all down. He lives in Jerusalem. He breaks it all down in a very easy to understand way. Again, that was yesterday's newscast, March 27th. Just check it out in our archives on the homepage. Under newscast, you will find it. Keep the people of Israel in your prayers. You know, we talk about Israel's enemies gathering. In the book of Psalms, God quite literally says that he laughs at Israel's enemies. And the God of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. A difficult time, no doubt. But folks, don't despair, don't lose hope, because God Almighty still sits on the throne and he is in control. Don't forget it. Hey, until tomorrow's newscast, thanks so much for joining us here. God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace.
Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.